I do remember getting on the mound and being like, I don't feel good. I think I was always like weirdly delusional as a kid. Like I think that was the plan early on. Like the second I started playing baseball, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like I love it so much. Pitching was like relatively inconsistent, but I'd be really, really good or really, really bad. But I know I love doing it and like working through the process of being good and bad. So I knew like if I could get through that and like enjoy the ups and downs, then I think it was something I could do. My first year in pro ball was not great. I couldn't really throw strikes. I was like 89, 91. We had like a little ping pong room and they go and like post everyone's names, who's going where. And I kind of had a feeling, because I sucked pretty hard that year, that I was probably not gonna go. But in the off chance I went up and checked, I wasn't there. And I remember just being like, damn, and like, I gotta figure stuff out. I was still young, it was my first year. It wasn't like the end of the world, but I think in the moment it felt pretty bad. And I remember before a game, I just remember being like, all right, my arm is slow and I'm like really loopy with my mechanics and I'm just gonna try and separate my glove and go quick. And in that game, the first inning, I was like 93, 94. And then I just started to try and see how hard I could throw. And I got up to like 96. And then 2 days later, I was up to like 98. So it just happened very quickly. And I just was like, wow, I can throw hard now. No one believed me. I texted my friends and I was like, yeah, I'm throwing 98. And they were like, shut up. No, you're not throwing 98. And then I got called up and I was pitching well and then it just kind of took off from there. So my coach initially called me and it was a day game the following day. It was really late at night after a game. It was like 11 or whatever. It was late. And I didn't see the call. And then I just looked at my phone. I had a voicemail and it was Dean Trainer and he was like, don't screen my call. Or like he just was like kind of messing with me. And I was like, all right, whatever. I called him back. I kind of had an idea that it was about a call up just because why would my coach be calling me at like 11, 11:30 at night? And he told me and my initial reaction was like kind of filled with nerves a little bit. But I remember kind of hanging up the phone and being like, no, dude, you worked your whole life for this. Like, you're gonna be great. I kind of gave myself a little like a pep talk. Called my family, called my brother, called everyone. They were all stoked. We figured out flights, traveling secretary, the logistical thing, and then I pitched the following day. And I think if you were to ask me at the time, like I don't necessarily know if I was ready. I was pretty nervous and I was always relatively inconsistent still in AAA, and I had just gone through it not feeling great for the last few starts. I got called up, I did okay. I was up and down in 16, then in 17, I sucked all year long. And then I got moved down to AAA and I would do pretty bad in the big leagues and then I would do well in AAA. So it was just kind of like trying to find my footing. And then finally enough up and downs in 17, they moved me to the bullpen in 18 where I kind of just was like withering away. I was in like the worst role in the bullpen. It was like a mop-up inning thing. So I would go pitch if we were up by 10 or down by 10 kind of deal, which is a kind of a hard place to pitch because the hitters are all pretty free. That year, I was in the bullpen, still happy to be in the big leagues, and then got traded to the Rays and then everything just took off from there. And so I guess that would also be another time where I was like, oh, I think I can like succeed in this league, is when I first got traded to the Rays. Hey, you're starting tomorrow, like go get him. I think I'd always kind of been filled with maybe a little bit too much thought or too much fear going into it. I think initially going to the Rays, it was very apparent like how different the two were. Not being like one was right or one was wrong, but I think for my personal style going to the Rays, they were just like, go have fun. It was like, oh, this is awesome. And like I got along with everyone, and I got along with everyone with the Pirates too, but it was just the puzzle fit, I guess, when I first went to the Rays. Got like some really good direction from the front office and the coaches, and then everything, I just kind of blossomed from there. So I had like a year left or so on my contract. My agent and the Rays negotiated like a 1-year extension for the Rays, and I kind of had an idea that like I wasn't probably gonna be there for that extension. There was a few teams that wanted me, and I was in a position because I had another year left that like there was a little bit of negotiation that could be had of like where I wanted to go. It was like the Dodgers was basically my number one. The trade happened, we negotiated the contract, and then now I'm here. When I first got over there, they kind of had like the Korea thing planned, which was awesome. I like to travel. I had never done anything like that in season, so it was exciting, but I guess mixed with like a 13-hour flight, trying to figure out a way to like prepare earlier than I normally would have to. They told me like when I first got to spring, they had told me early on, because you have to, like generally you map out like a 6-week program to get you up to like 5 or 6 innings or whatever before a season. So you build up your innings earlier and then fly to Korea, do the time change, and then figure out the start stuff, which wasn't too like crazy. It's just baseball, you gotta travel and do crazy stuff all the time. So I was like, all right, whatever. When I got off the flight originally, you could tell the differences of just like, there were so many people like freaking out and screaming. The Dodgers were there. And then you go to the hotel, and the hotel was mixed, like the lobby area was kind of a public space. Then you'd kind of go into your hotel and there was just a mob of people like freaking out, like yelling Shohei and all this crazy stuff. And I remember just warming up that day and feeling a little weird, but you typically don't like think about it. Every start you have, you feel a little different. You just try to like control what you can and then just eliminate all the external things that you don't have control over. And I do remember getting on the mound and being like, I don't feel good. I think I walk like a ton of dudes. I pitch towards like my strengths, but like you always want to know people's weaknesses. And it kind of depends on the season and like what the person was doing prior games. But I do remember being like, today is a grind. Tatis is so good that like, if he's hot, he's just a tough guy to pitch to. So you just want to execute what you can that day, what feels good. I definitely didn't have my curveball, I remember that. I kind of was only fastball, slider, not great command, but those are my two pitches I was kind of leaning on that day. I remember Tatis was not on the slider that day at all, so I just threw him a million sliders. Make it look like a strike and then get it out of the strike zone, especially to a guy like Tatis, Cronenworth, to all those guys. Everyone in a big league roster is good, but the Padres especially. We have just like a history with them and they've seen us so many times that like you just try to do your strengths, but switch it up when you can. I remember getting in some trouble walking some dudes. That K to Cronenworth, I remember. I think I struck him out once or twice, but he's typically like amazing. For the first one a season, it was kind of maybe a good situation to like have to do all that, go in, not have the best one, and then to work into like the next start. Like kind of getting through that, only giving up 2 runs. I remember being like, all right, could have gone way worse. So I was like, that's perfect, this is great. I think because it was such a weird, like feeling that weird on the mound or like having one of those games, it's almost like a sneaky silver lining because it's like, all right, it's probably not going to get much worse than that. It's like I was able to scrape through, you go, and those starts are important to have in season to where like your normal things aren't working, to where you just eliminate your thought and go out and compete as hard as you can. And I do remember doing that start, getting through it, and then going into my regular work week, like with that maybe in the back of my mind, and then that transitioned into Dodger Stadium. That first start at Dodger Stadium, I felt a lot better. Everything was more synced up. I had my curveball that day. And yeah, I ended up pitching well, and it was a really cool experience. Just to go out there and feel confident and comfortable and then go out and get another win. I think any like starting pitcher can relate to, you have like your pre-game, whatever it is, like you're locked in, you're doing your thing. There's a little bit of nerves, there's excitement, there's everything. It's like all of the whirlwind of things, and then you just do your best to control what you can. You go out and pitch, and then when it's over, it's like, nice. Like when you do really well, or really bad, it is what it is. It's a long season, you have a lot of up and downs, but like to go pitch and then to do well after is like a feeling that every starting pitcher can be like, that's why you play the game. It's a phenomenal feeling. And I remember my whole family was there, and I got to go meet everyone up by like the family elevator, and it was just like this feeling of not relief, I guess, it's just like, nice, you guys came here, I did well, that's better than me not doing well, our team won. And I think it was a surreal moment of like, I'm from here, seeing the concourse area where I always was. Like I get the dugout perspective, and then I go back up to when I would see the game in the field as if I was like a kid again. That was pretty wild. And I just remember going home being like, there's a lot of traffic here. Like that's what I remember mostly, of being like, damn, I gotta do this every day. I gotta go sit in this traffic every single day. So that was a little weird. But I've now navigated and found a way to figure out like little cut arounds of the traffic, and it's been fine. Like any baseball player, you train so much every single day, and I think you're always hunting a sort of like a feeling or like a comfort to go out there and pitch. And I guess like we talked about, like some days you just don't have it, and some days you do, and that doesn't necessarily dictate how you perform. So I think the more you can just eliminate, oh, this feels good or this doesn't feel good, and you can just go out and compete and not really worry about it, and just today is another day, it doesn't really matter. If I were to look at my best starts and my worst starts, how I feel before or during there's not really like a direct line to performance. So I'd say the days that I feel bad, I go, doesn't matter, fuck how you feel. And the days I feel good, I say, don't become complacent, fuck how you feel. Just go out and pitch, compete, and try to like eliminate thought and trust your stuff and just go be an athlete.